breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
Representative Jody Hice shames Democrats in Congress by doing one thing for our troops they won't. In a stunning display of political partisanship and disregard for the American people whom they were elected to represent, Democrats in Congress shut down the government late Friday night. Among other things, this meant that the hard-working men and women of our armed forces would not get paid. In the wake of the government shutdown, Representative Jody Hice has shamed his Democratic colleagues by doing one thing for our troops which they would not. According to Washington Examiner, troops and Defense Department civilians faced the possibility of frozen pay and furloughs as the government shut down this weekend after last-minute efforts on Capitol Hill to pass protections fizzled. Senator Claire McCaskill proposed fast-tracking a bill on the Senate floor after a midnight budget deadline on Friday that would have ensured paychecks continued, but the move was opposed by Mitch McConnell, leaving the military and hundreds of thousands of civilian workers hanging. I want to send a very clear signal that we don't want any moment to pass with there being any uncertainty with any soldier anywhere in the world that they will be paid for the valiant work that they do on behalf of our national security, said Senator McCaskill. Sadly, Chuck Schumer did not share her sentiment that our troops should, at the very least, be paid for the brave work that they do domestically and around the world. With our soldiers, Saul, one representative took his own measures to show that he stands in solidarity with the heroic men and women of the U.S. military. Representative Jody Hice, ARGA, voluntarily suspended his own pay until such time as the service members of this nation get paid. Representative Jody Hice signs a letter instructing Chief Administrative Officer Phil Gecko to hold his paycheck until U.S. troops are paid for their service. Photo credit, Representative Jody Hice, Twitter. If our service members aren't getting paid, then neither am I, Hice tweeted on Saturday after the Senate failed to approve a short-term spending bill, sending the government into a temporary shutdown at midnight on Friday. Today, I informed the Chief Administrative Office that I'll have my pay withheld until a funding bill is passed and gets our men and women in uniform their hard-earned pay, added Hice. Then, the Georgia Republican set his sights squarely on Senator Chuck Schumer, who is largely to blame for the government shutdown. Hice issued a bold challenge to the Senate Minority Leader, concluding his tweet by letting Schumer know that the ball is in his court, and insinuating that he, too, should go without pay for as long as the government shutdown persists. "It's your move, @SenSchumer," wrote Hice, adding the hashtag #SchumerShutdown. A letter from Representative Jody Hice instructs the Chief Administrative Office to withhold his pay until such time as service members receive their own paychecks. Photo credit, Representative Jody Hice, Twitter. Rep. Hice is precisely the type of hard-working congressman that we want in Washington, D.C. He understands that you should not play politics with people who put their own lives on the line for our country each and every day. Please share this report about Representative Jody Hice's awesome gesture of solidarity with our armed forces if you think other members of Congress ought to follow his lead. If our military has to go without a paycheck, our politicians should have to take the same hit. After all, it's their fault we're in this mess, to begin with. Something tells me that the Democrats in Congress would be much easier to reason with, and far more willing to compromise, if the funds in their own pocketbooks were at stake.